Hello friends. In this video we are going to discuss the data storage approach in Azure. So data comes in different shapes and size, and a single storage solution won't fit for all data, correct? So let's say you have an e-commerce website, okay, and in that there are three different categories of data. So you have product catalog data, and then you have media files like photos and videos, and also you will have financial business data. So how are you going to store each kind of data in Azure, and how are you going to decide a particular solution? So all these things we are going to discuss in this video. So basically, deciding an optimal storage solution. So first question arises, why correct storage solution? Correct. So for better performance, for cost savings, and for improved manageability. Now, what do you mean by better performance? So obviously, when someone is on your website, it's an e-commerce website, and is looking at the product page, that product page should load all its content at once. It shouldn't take much time to load the photo or video. That's not good, right? So that is a term in terms of performance. Another example of performance is, let's say your customers are in Australia and your head office is in US. Though your head office is in US, though your data center is in US, Australian customer shouldn't face any latency. Okay, so all these things are part of performance. Second is cost savings. Now there are situations, let's say we just discussed, right? So there are three aspects of data: product catalog, media files like photos and videos, and the financial business data. Now financial business data won't be required every time. There won't be any create or update functions applied on this data, right? So that's why it is not a hot tier data, it's a cool tier data. So you can save your dollars if you are choosing a correct storage solution. So, and the third is improved manageability. Now what do we mean by improved manageability? So let's go back to our e-commerce website example, and every department in your company which handles this e-commerce website will have their own accounting, right? So let's say operations, marketing, and finance, okay? And the cost related to a particular storage should go to that particular department, okay? So that's how you can improve the manageability. This is one of the example. There are many examples how you can improve the manageability. So that's why correct storage solution is important. Now, first of all, whenever you come across a situation where you have to decide which storage solution should I pick, first of all, the first important thing is classification of the data. Now, classification of the data, okay? Second thing is determining how you are going to use the data. Are you going to use the data for internal purpose or for the customers? Are you going to use the data in terms of the updating it, deleting it? How are you going? It is going to be very variable data, or is it going to be fixed data? So all these things you need to take care of. Third thing is performance. So as we discussed about the transactions, right? If your data requires more transaction, yes or no. So all these things we need to be take care in order to decide an optimal storage solution. So classification, usage, and performance. These are the three important things which we should take care. So first is classification of data. So there are three types of data for our retail application which we discussed. Okay. So ours is a retail application selling different varieties of chocolates, let's say. Okay. And we already discussed that there will be a product catalog data, media files like photos and videos, and financial business data. Now, in order to understand three types of data, this is a global classification. As a data engineer, this remains common. Till the time any fourth form comes, we have these three types of data: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. We'll go one by one, how to understand the difference between the data. So first is a structured data. So as soon as you know, structured is a relational format, RDBMS, okay, relational database management system. It has a strict schema. Consider it as a structure. It has a strict structure. This is a strict structure. Let's say you are selling a chocolate, okay, on your website. We are just selling chocolates for now. Tomorrow, your the company owner comes up with an idea. So let's not only sell chocolates, let's sell um, protein bars. Okay, they are part of the chocolate, but you were never selling that chocolate. You are just selling pure chocolates. Now you are selling protein bars. Okay, now protein bars uh, might have different column required. Let's say protein bar, you need to classify it based on the uh, sugar level, okay, or whatever. So how are you going to add that attribute? If you want to add a sugar level attribute here, fourth column, you have to add one more column, say sugar level, and then write down the things. So these has a strict schema. If you want to add something, if you have a new field in place, you have to consider entire table. Not only entire table, the relationships also you need to consider. Okay, so these type of structured data, basically, you when you have structured data, especially in the customer relationship management systems, reservations, inventory management, and booking websites, you have even the reporting like clinical data reporting, all these things uses this inventory management, as I said. Okay, let's say you have a product catalog. So product catalog, if it is not if it's a very simple product, at that time you can use structured data. But even for the product catalog, in these days you can't use the structured data when you have very specific niche requirement for a particular kind of product. Okay, so structured data, all the data follows the same format. So this all follows the same format. And as we discussed, evolution of data is difficult. So as I said, if you want to add an option of sugar level, it's not that it's not possible. It is possible, but you need to make changes to your entire related tables and a particular table also. So for structured data, one of the product which Azure offers is Azure SQL database. Next is semi-structured data. So semi-structured data is more like flexible data in which there is no relational format, and it is like a document. Whenever someone asks about semi-structured data, it's more like a document. Now let's say let's take an example of Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. In Microsoft Word, you can make table, correct? You can insert the pictures, you can have your key value pairs, you can have multiple choices, anything you can do with the blank piece of paper on Microsoft Word. But on Excel you have a you're restricted, right? So same thing applies to semi structured data. Think of it as a notebook, and since it uses the data serialization language, so this is very important for the programmers. So programmers won't know what is the inbound thing, what is the outbound thing. They need to implement a particular logic using the information given to them. So in that cases, data serialization language is really important. And then Azure Cosmos is one of the offering by Azure which is able to deal with semi-structured data. So the three key NoSQL data models. Now semi-structured data usually is not only SQL or NoSQL at all data model. We have three options: key value pair, graph, and document databases. Document databases, which is XML, JSON, YAML. So XML, in that the verbose is very high. So you have angle brackets, and then you do the let's say you have a document, XML document. In that XML file, in that you have first name, last name, then age of a person. So you notate everything using angular brackets are majority used. Here JSON, in JSON curly braces are used. In YAML you don't need to care about the symbols like angular brackets or colon or or curly braces. It is more like Python. YAML is more like a Python in which the indentation matters and it's less verbose. So in terms of verbose, XML has maximum verbose, JSON has less than XML verbose, and YAML has very minimum verbose. But YAML is not that much popular. The most popular is JSON. So in JSON format, your data will be stored. And graph is more for, let's say, for social media and IoT applications. And for a small amount of data, you can use key value pair. So this is how the complete semi-structured data looks like. And the third one is unstructured data. So it's like text files, log files, office files, and media files. So basically particular file, if you look at any file, it will be structured from outside, but when you go inside, the content of, let's say, content of a particular video is not that much, is not structured at all. So that is called unstructured data. So these are the three types of data which we need to be aware of. So let's go back to our uh, our question. Deciding an optimal storage solution, classification is very important. So for our case study of online e-commerce website, we have to classify our data. Okay, so first of all, the most important is product catalog. Now what do you think, product catalog will fit into which kind of data? So product catalog is going to fit in a semi-structured format, as I said here, semi-structured, because if, let's say, if you want to add any option to a particular product, let's say you have an electronics, you are selling electronics, and you want a feature in which Bluetooth is available or not. You want to have a column which says Bluetooth yes or no. Okay. So what are you going to do with that? You can't change the entire table. You have to use semi-structured data in JSON format, and you can handle that product catalog data. Second is the structured data. What are you going to use for structured data? Is the business data, the financial, the private data, the owner facing or management facing data. We are going to use, you have to classify as the structured data, because there won't be much changes, correct? And the last one, the unstructured data, so the photos and videos which you are going to upload on the product page of the website, also the photos and videos which customers are going to post as part of their reviews. Okay. And even sometimes they have their profile picture, everything. So all these things will be unstructured data, and these data will be stored as a part of unstructured data as in a blob format, or that we are going to discuss later on. So now the second question is how your data will be used. First is the classification, second is how your data will be used. So three questions you should ask. How often will your data be accessed? Let's say the product catalog. What do you think product catalog will be used? Who is going to use it? Both customer and internal people, because internally the e-commerce department is going to update the price, is going to update the images, is going to update the description of the product. Not only update, they are going to create, they are going to sometimes delete when the product is out of season. Okay. So in that cases, the product catalog is going to be accessed a lot, and you need to just understand CRUD operation. So we need to CRUD, what create, read, update, and delete. So what is going to be performed maximum? So in product catalog everything will be performed. Second is photos and videos. Are you going to update, is customer going to update the product photos and videos? No. So it has a less accessibility, right? Photos and videos. And last one is the financial data, so that also it's going to be just internal. Okay. No, even out external people are not going to use that. So that is how the accessibility is your data read only? So this is the financial data is going to be read only, because it is the historical data which we are going to analyze. The business analyst or uh, the data analyst team in a company are going to just read the data, the historical data, and based on that they will be coming up with their insights, data insights they will be coming up. Then they will be publishing, maybe use Power BI to generate the reports, real-time reports. But basically it will be just the read only data, correct? And does the query time matter? Yes, query time matters a lot. For photos and videos and product catalog it is must. Maybe query time won't matter in case of the internal data, but query time do matter when it is facing the customer. So this is how the priority. We are not saying that query time doesn't matter for the financial data, it does matter, but it has a less priority. So depending on that, depending on your budget, depending on your internal team, how is they are going to use it, depending on that you will be deciding the storage solution. Now, this is important part, because as we discussed here, that performance is measured by transactions. So transactions is like any change to a particular piece of data. Let's say you have a table for your products in which is just it is having the description, and it is having the product name, and you have the product SKU. These three things, and you have some sale table. So sale, SALE. So let's say you have sale going on for a particular product. So any change in the description, should it affect the sale table? No, it won't affect it. But pricing table and sale table are connected, correct? So any change in the sale value shouldn't affect the original price, correct? So that type of interrelationship should be maintained, should be intact. And one more thing is, whenever customer orders something from a website, the inventory gets reduced. Okay, now that when it is reduced for a particular location, let's say you have a pickup from store, in that case it should reduce from that particular store only, it shouldn't reduce from other store. So all these things are part of transaction, and there are two types of transaction: online analytical and online transactional. So when you have lots of users and you need a quick response time and to handle large volumes of data, and the transactions are not that much complex, so they are like just plus or minus, addition, subtraction, this type of uh, operations are performed down the line. So in that cases you have to use OLTP, and OLAP we are using especially for data analysis, so it's by the internal team who is going to use it to do their data analysis. So depending on our whatever we learned in this video, let's go back to our case study. So in the case study, we had a case study of online website, and we had the three data classification. Okay, so first one was the product catalog, second one was photos and videos, and third one was the mm, financial data. Now what Azure service, which Azure storage service we are going to choose for each of them? Okay, so let's open a Word document and let's list out the final findings. Okay, so let me share this. Okay, so first one was our, let's say, case study of online website selling chocolates. Okay, okay, first is product catalog data. Now which Azure service which we are going to use? So we discussed that the data classification is a semi-structured. So data classification is semi-structured. Okay, and what is the usage? So usage is like high, it has a high usage in terms of read and query, because people are going to filter the type of chocolates, etc., and changing inventory. Okay, inventory is also going to change, so usage is high. And how about the performance? The data is both historical and also keep on changing, right? So that's why we need a transactional support, correct? So the recommended service for this will be Azure Cosmos DB for the semi-structured data. Okay, and then because of this high usage and performance, and you need a transactional support. So if you use SQL the Azure SQL service, and in that case it won't work because your data is semi-structured, correct? And another thing is, there are other services provided by Azure such as Azure Table Storage, Azure HBase, that is a Azure HD Insight, Azure Cache. They also handle NoSQL data. Your data is NoSQL here, okay? But these won't work because we are worried about the performance. Azure Cosmos DB indexes every field by default. Okay, that's the advantage of Azure Cosmos DB. Other service won't do that. So indexing by default is very important for performance, because non-indexed fields will result in reduced performance. So that's why we are going to use Azure Cosmos DB. Correct? Next is photos and videos, which we are going to same thing we are going to do, data classification. So data classification for this will be unstructured data, as we said. And what about the usage? How do we use the photos and videos? Normally when you're developing, I usually develop on Django, so I take care about ID of the photo or video or audio, anything. Second thing is, you need, what about the usage is by ID, and there is going to be read operations. Okay, no writes are very less, not by customer is not going to change your photo or video. But there are some infrequent creates and updates, like, so in terms of performance, this is the issue. There shouldn't be latency, no latency, because that is not acceptable. What do we mean by latency? If there is any change in data, that change should traverse in no time. That's how I define latency for this case. So let's say if you change a photo for a particular chocolate on the website, it should change in no time in Australian region. We have done change in US, but that someone customer in Australia should be able to see a new image. So what is the solution for this? The solution for unstructured photos and videos or audios, maybe, let's say customer feedback you are taking using audio, okay, the best solution would be Azure blob storage. So here blob refers to binary large objects. And why Azure blob storage? First of all, it stores photos and videos. Another thing is, it is supported by Azure Content Delivery Network. Supported by Azure Content Delivery Network, very important. It caches the most frequently used content on the edge servers. So entire planet will have access to latest images or videos you upload. And another advantage in terms of less cost is that if you want to lower the cost, you need to select the right storage solution, And whatever we discussed in the video, you need to think about each and every aspect. Here, if we are using blob storage, it is going to help you because Azure Blob Storage Service has hot storage tier and cool storage tier and also archive storage tier. So you can archive, not you don't need to archive, but some outdated products will be completely, no one is going to look at them, right? So you can archive them whenever it is unavailable. Some products you can put it in a cool tier depending on how the frequently viewed images and videos are. Everything can be automated in the Azure Blob storage. You can have your if else conditions, set the days that let's say this image, a particular image of a chocolate was accessed, is not accessed from last 365 days. So it will automatically put it in the cool tier and you're going to save dollars, right? So that's how we are going to implement the storage solution for photos and videos. And third part is, let me make it, yeah, third is nothing but business data or financial business data. So whenever you have a word financial, that means it's a confidential. Okay, so data classification. What will be data classification? It's a structured data, of course. Something confidential or won't have, and especially in finance, you won't have that much special cases. You have a special cases for product catalog because products keep on changing. Some products have a particular feature, some don't have it. That's why you need to use a semi-structured. Here financial data, it's going from ages, same things will be there. And in terms of the usage is read only, correct? And you have, very important, is complex queries, because data analysts are going to fire complex queries, or they are going to make a Power BI application which will be wrangling with the data. So at that time you need to be aware of this. And what about the performance? uh, you can you can handle the latency because it's internal, not external. It's not facing the customer. And since the queries are complex, you have to deal with the latency. And transactional support is required? No, it's not required, because whenever there is a it's no transaction is that, like, everything which is going on online, the transactional is not required here. Okay, and then, so what we are going to use for this as a solution? Azure SQL database. That is the solution, because business analysts are going to query this data analysts. They are well versed with SQL. That is their primary way of communication. Okay, and SQL databases have been used from ages. Okay, so this is the advantage. Another advantage is that you can pair your SQL database, Azure SQL database, with Azure Analysis Service. That will help you to and help the data analyst to create a semantic model on the SQL database. So these are the advantages of using Azure SQL database. Since you don't need the transactions, that's why you won't be using Azure Synapse, because it supports OLAP, but you don't need it in this case. So even there are other solutions like Stream Analytics, but it is all about real-time data. Here you are not dealing with the real-time data. Here you are dealing with the historical data. So to make a smart decision. So these are the three smart decisions we have made by categorizing the data and in terms of structured, unstructured, and semi-structured, usage, performance. So that's how we are going to deal with choosing a correct